Hey everybody, it's Matt Karma, founder of TBTC, and in this video, I'm going to show you 3 simple ways that you can get rid of sugar cravings for good. Let me go back to the very first question that I started the intro with. What if I was to tell you, and I know this sounds totally crazy, but what if I was to tell you that those cravings when you feel like you need sugar, chocolate, donuts, ice cream, what if I was to tell you that that actually isn't you? Now you're like, Matt, what the hell are you talking about? You're crazy. I know it sounds crazy, but let me tell you what is happening in your body. Let's go to number 1. Number 1 to get rid of your sugar cravings is to cleanse your body of candida. Now I hear some of you saying, what is candida? Well, candida is fungus, right? So think of it like little monsters that live in your intestines, that live in your tongue and live in some other areas as well, which I'll go into in a second. But basically, think of it like little monsters, and just like a car needs fuel, gas, petrol, to run, well, these little monsters, right, the candida, its main source of fuel is sugar. Most of the time when you want sugar, donuts, chocolate, ice cream, whatever it is that you're craving, that isn't actually you, that is the candida in your body. It's punching you, it's yelling at you saying, give me my source of fuel, give me sugar. So when you walk around and you have the thought process like, you know what, I might go get some Skittles, I might get some chocolate, I might get some ice cream. The next time, now you're aware that most of the time, that isn't you. So there you have it. Now you know the next time you go throughout your day and you have that feeling, that need for sugar, know that it's not actually you doing the thinking. It's little monsters in your body doing the thinking for you.
Something must be wrong with my brain. Get out of my head! Leave my brain alone!
Never!
So the question now becomes, Matt, how do I get rid of this candida in my body? It's very, very simple. First off though, you need to find out if the candida is the problem for those sugar cravings. But most probably it is, because molecular biologists at Rice University, they have found that 70% of people are living with candida overgrowth. So if out of every single 10 people that you see in the street, 7 of them have candida overgrowth. So sometimes you'll be able to see that you have candida overgrowth visually from your tongue. You have something called thrush, yeast infections. That's just candida overgrowth. A lot of women experience this, sometimes guys. If you don't know what that is, basically, it's pretty visual, but basically it's like these, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's just, if you Google it, you'll be able to see something. Just make sure you're not in a cafe or people around you, because people are gonna be like, what the hell are you watching? Basically, it's just this infection that's on your vagina, your penis. Why am I laughing right now? Penis, also known as your cock. I need to grow up. Maybe you have these symptoms that are invisible, such as you may have things such as diarrhea, digestive issues, bloating, sugar cravings, that's clearly one. Also, mood swings as well. That's a very common one because gut health is directly related to mental health, right? If this is out of order, this is out of order as well. So I highly recommend that you go get this checked out. And the way that you get this tested out is by getting something done called a live blood analysis. A live blood analysis is a great way to see what is happening on a microscopic level in your blood, and you can see if you have those little critters walking around in your blood. Basically, what happens is usually you go to a naturopath. If you just go on Mr. Googs and you type in naturopath in your area that you live in, and you just find out and email them, hey, do you do live blood analysis? So here's what happens. You walk in the room and they prick your finger and they get some blood, right? And they put that under a microscope and they pull up either on a screen or a TV and they show you what is happening in your blood. And they'll show you what is healthy blood look like and also what does unhealthy blood look like. And also you can see on a microscopic level if you have candida in your blood. And you can see the overgrowth happening. You can see those little monsters in your blood. It's scary. So let's say that you've become aware and now you've got your awareness that you do have candida overgrowth. So what happens now? How do you get rid of it? So basically what you want to do something is called include and remove. Right? You want to include certain foods, fluids, and actions that are going to cleanse your body in certain parts of your body to get rid of that candida, and you want to remove certain foods, fluids, and actions that are going to start to support that candida overgrowth, right? And the main parts that you really want to cleanse and look after and love is your spleen, your liver, and your intestines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be breaking down what you should be doing, what you should be including, the foods, fluids, and actions, and also what you should be removing in these three parts of your body. So let's start with your spleen. So first off, you're probably thinking, what the hell is a spleen? Well, if you thought that, you're not the only person. Put simply, the spleen it's an organ in your body that it kind of looks like this kidney bean, right? A massive kidney bean. But basically what it helps is, it helps in aiding of your digestion for your body to produce chemicals that destroy and recycle old blood cells, right? So there are certain foods that you want to be eating every single day to making sure that you're cleansing your spleen, because that's going to help with getting rid of all of that candida. Certain foods you want to be having is plenty of leafy greens. You want to ensure that you have some carrots, sweet potato, barley, ginger, garlic, pumpkin, and squash as well. All those things help with making sure that you're loving your spleen, put simply. Now, certain actions that you want to remove from everyday habits is, one is eating too fast. You want to make sure that when you have a piece of food, you're chewing 30 times or even more, and making sure that it's in a liquid form, because what happens is it helps and aids in digestion, but also what happens is Chinese medicine, right? They're very well known for making sure that you take care of your spleen. They believe that it's very, very imperative to good health. And they say that the spleen hates cold foods and fluids. So we want to make sure that when you're chewing that food, that's going to bring it down to normal temperature. That's going to aid in the health of your spleen. You really want to make sure, again, that you don't really focus too much on cold foods. Only if you have candida overgrowth. If you don't have it, you can go ahead and have plenty of cold foods and smoothies. But the cold food can overload the spleen, and it can cause some digestion issues and can cause bloating as well. So you really want to make sure that you're having some warm foods instead of cold if you have candida overgrowth. The next one is your liver. So that's very familiar with most people, especially for those of you who drink alcohol. But basically, right, your liver is really, really important for detoxifying your system, detoxifying your whole entire body. So you really want to make sure that you have certain foods such as garlic, such as plenty of water. Plenty of water, that's a pretty general term. But basically all that means is if you find out 0 times 0.33 times your body weight in kilograms, you'll be able to find out how much water you should be having at a minimum in liters every single day. Also making sure that you're having grapefruit, you're having beetroot, you're having carrots, you're having leafy greens, you're having avocados, apples, broccoli, cauliflower, lemon. All of those foods can really, really aid in the health of your liver. One of the things that you want to remove is alcohol. You probably heard before that with alcohol, that's very, very damaging to the liver, and it's true. But also what you really want to understand and remind yourself of that candida feeds on sugar, right? And alcohol is full of sugar. So you want to be making sure that you're avoiding that alcohol, one, to support your health, but also if you're just sculling down drinks all day, that's just feeding that candida. The next one is your intestines, right? So you have your large intestine, you have your small intestine, and its job is to absorb all the nutrients, to digest all the food that you're getting into your mouth. Put simply, what you want to be making sure is that you're having foods that are very, very high in fiber. Having lots of fruits and vegetables that are very, very high in fiber is going to aid in the health of your intestines. Also, you want to be making sure that you're having some fermented foods, one of them being sauerkraut, because that can really help with your health of your intestines as well. And some of the things that you want to be removing from your everyday habits that can be detrimental to your intestinal health. So I think I said that right. There are two things I'm going to be talking about here that are very, very common. There are so many others. These are only two of the many. But one of them is dairy, right? So dairy, because of the lactose sugar in the dairy, we're not able to digest it properly. And that's why you see so many people with lactose intolerance, right? And that's just because we're not a damn cow. We are humans. We're not meant to be having cow's milk. A lot of people have a lot of diarrhea when they drink dairy, and that's because we're not meant to have it, right? So stay away from dairy. Number two is coffee. Now, I just lost some of you viewers already. I get it, right? I used to have 3 damn coffees a day. It was insane. But what happens is, you probably notice that with a lot of people that have coffee, as soon as they have coffee, they need to go to the bathroom and they need to do a number 2, right? And usually that number 2 isn't solid. It's just like a waterfall of shit just flowing through your asshole. That's called speaking with no filter. What happens is when you have coffee, right, to put things in a very complex way, and I'm going to break it down in a very simple way, caffeine stimulates gastrointestinal tract motility. Big ass word, I don't even want to go into what that all means. Let me put things really, really simple because people understand things that are put simply, right? Basically all that means is when you have caffeine, stimulation happens in your intestines that makes all the food move very, very quickly and it just bursts out, right? The other reason why you want to stay away from caffeine because most people don't just have a coffee. They have coffee, they have some cake, or they have some bread, or they have, I don't know what the hell they have. Most people have coffee with everything. They don't just normally have it by themselves. And they will smash the sugar in. And if you go to a cafe, you get a mochaccino, you get whatever it is, they don't just put, there's like there's added sugars in there as well. Okay? So now the question becomes, Matt, how long do I have to do this for? Well, it's gonna take a while, to be honest with you. 60 to 90 days should be totally fine, but I highly recommend that you go see a naturopath and they check out your blood because they're gonna give you way more in-depth advice than I'm giving you right now, okay? So that's step number one. That was a massive one. Now, step number two. Step number two is to interrupt your pattern. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, every single person has neural pathways in their brain, right? Stay with me, I'll make it very, very simple in a second. But what happens is, the more that you do something, right? The more that you do something, the easier it is to happen. So for example, if you're going and every single day you drop your shoes down when you come back from work right next to the door, you do that again and again and again and again. Those neural pathways in your brain are becoming created and then a pattern is installed in your brain. So every single time now, it's just an unconscious thing. Before, it would have been conscious. You would have just went there and you dropped it down by there and you're like, cool, my shoes are there. You did that again the next day, cool, I'm consciously putting my shoes there. But you do it again and again and again. And what happens is in your brain, those neural pathways are so strong, they become so strong, where now, instead of you consciously doing it, it becomes unconscious. You just walk in, you throw your shoes there and you don't even realize you're doing it. The exact same thing happens when you have sugar cravings, right? If you're constantly reaching for bad foods all the time, it just becomes your new normal to eat bad foods. It becomes your new normal to eat chocolate after dinner. It becomes new normal to reach for peanut butter every single time that you have dinner. It becomes your new normal to reach for shitty foods all the damn time. So what you want to do is create new neural pathways and slice off those neural pathways in your brain that isn't supporting you. Let me put this in a metaphor that you can actually get. So for example, if you think about a CD has a certain unique pattern installed in that CD that when you put that on a CD player, it plays a certain sounds. Think of your brain like the CD player and you have a certain CD in your brain that is called Sugar Cravings. That's the album. The album is called Sugar Cravings, the Deluxe Chocolate Edition. Anytime that you have a certain emotion, such as boredom, such as depression, such as sadness, that trigger gets you to go and reach for bad food, that sugar. Do that again and again and again. That blank CD that when you were born, all of a sudden is creating a certain pattern on this disc. Just by you going through the motion of your everyday life, reaching for bad foods, again and again and again, you are literally burning a new CD on a blank disc. So maybe it's not a craving, maybe it's just a habit. What would if I was to go and get that CD and I was to get a pen or a knife and I was to scratch that CD? Would it be able to play it? No. Why? Because that pattern is now become interrupted. How can you interrupt that pattern? How can you interrupt that neural pathway in your brain? One of the easiest ways is to move your body. The next time you feel that urge, right, what happens is, first is a trigger, and emotion is the most common one. That trigger starts to happen, and then an urge starts to build up, and you want to get rid of that emotion, or you want to start to change the emotion, so you reach for food. What I want you to do is to get the exact same result of feeling a different emotion, but from a different vehicle. Instead of reaching for food to change your emotions, start to move your body to change your emotions. Because motion creates emotion. You move your body around, how you're holding your body right now, how you're breathing, how your face is, if you're sliding over, if you're laying down, that's determining how you feel. But if you just go up and you start jumping up and down, you're gonna have a totally different energy levels, a totally different emotion compared to 10 seconds ago. Try it. You'll see the difference. So the next time that you feel that trigger, go for a walk. Breathe. And then when that pattern has become broken, then what you want to do is reach for something different. You can't just interrupt that pattern, right? You can't just slice up that neural pathway. Then what you want to do is you want to go and create and strengthen a new neural pathway in your brain. So what happens is, for example, the trigger goes off, you're feeling stressed out, and you're like, stuff it, and you go reach for chocolate, right? You're feeling that urge start to build up, and you go, awareness. Okay, I'm gonna go for a walk instead. And you start breathing. You go outside, you breathe, you do that for 5 to 10 minutes, you come back, and then what you wanna do is, you wanna get a blank CD and start to create a new pattern. And how you do that is you go and get some bananas, or you get an apple, or you get something else that's gonna change your emotional states. Okay, and at first, it's not gonna happen in one day, right? Because it takes 21 days for you to make or break a habit. Some say 67, my experience says 21. So on the very first time that you do this, it's gonna be so hard for you to get that knife and just slice that disc. It's gonna take so much willpower, right? But over time, it becomes easier and easier. So the very first time that you do it, right? You may just maybe a little scratch in that CD. So that CD is still going to play. But if you do it again and again and again and again for 21 days, you can't play that same sound anymore. That CD is now broken. And from you constantly reaching for bad food, in the process of that 21 days, you had that blank CD here that now has a pattern that is fully developed, a CD that is fully installed, that you can put that in your brain, and now you have a new habit. That's step number 2. Now, moving on to step number 3. Step number 3 is to have more carbohydrates. Right? Let me put things very, very simple for you. Carbohydrates convert into something called glucose. Now, every single cell in our body runs on glucose, right? It's our fuel. It's what we run on. We need it, right? So when you're not giving your body enough carbohydrates, your body's gonna start to scream at you, give me sugar, because glucose is just sugar. Your body's screaming, give me sugar. So what's happening is you're misinterpreting the message that your body is sending you. You're saying, the body is saying, I want sugar, but you go for refined sugar, when really it just wants some starchy carbohydrates. It wants some sweet potato, it wants some rice, it wants some bananas, because fruit is carbohydrates as well, by the way. It wants some fruit, it wants some oranges, it wants some pineapple, it wants fruit, carbohydrates, food that is going to turn into glucose for that cells to thrive. So making sure that you're having plenty of rice, sweet potato, potatoes, having plenty of fruit as well, having plenty of fruit, plenty of smoothies, all those things make a massive difference with getting rid of those sugar cravings, right? If you do have a candida problem, I really recommend going to see that naturopath. She's probably gonna say ease up on the fruit, because that can definitely cause more candida overgrowth, right? Because I love fruit, right? So sometimes you need to make a temporary change for a long-term gain, right? I'm not saying fruit is bad. What I am saying though, don't misinterpret my message. What I am saying though, is that if you have candida overgrowth, that fruit will convert into sugar, which is feeding that candida. And sometimes you need to stay off it a little bit temporarily to get rid of that candida, to cleanse that body of all that candida. Bonus tip, have some emergency foods. What's gonna happen is, after you watch this video, I know that you're gonna go and find a naturopath to get your blood tested, but also what's gonna happen is, those sugar cravings are still gonna come up. But I highly recommend doing all those things that I mentioned. When the sugar cravings come up, interrupting your pattern, right? Having more carbohydrates. And when I mean having more carbohydrates, I highly recommend creating some emergency food. Going and pre-preparing some sweet potato, putting that in your fridge. So when you feel those urges come up, you go for a walk, you come back, and you have that sweet potato there ready for you. Okay? Or you have a simple smoothie recipe that you absolutely love that is very high in carbohydrates. That urge starts to build up, you go for a walk, you focus on big deep breaths, and now it takes 2 minutes for you to make a smoothie that you can just gulp it down, and now you're feeling good. Those sugar cravings are gone, or they're satisfied in a healthy way. That's what I highly recommend, guys. I really hope this video has helped you out. If you do have any comments or questions, please leave them below. And also, I highly recommend that you join my 21-day challenge. Like I mentioned, it takes 21 days to make or break a habit. My 21-day challenge is there for you to create new habits, to break bad habits, to help you with your sugar cravings. So it's gonna be perfect for you, especially if you wanna lose body fat. That's gonna help you as well. So I'll leave a link down below in the description that you can go and click on. You can learn more information about it. But yeah, subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you haven't already, leave a comment down below what you thought of this video. I read every single one of the comments, and I love you guys. I just want you to know that. And until I see you in the next video, remember to love all living things, and most importantly, love thyself.